Hello and welcome to a new episode of Experiencing Internet Plus. It's been quite a while since I've made an episode for this series because I've been doing other stuff. Did the adventure series for Internet Plus, did a series for Infdev Plus and for Classic Plus, made some short videos and also started working on a World in Classic. Infdev Plus has also received quite a few changes. For example, there are the new double-layered clouds, which are quite cool, but look kind of weird from this, since I'm currently in a sort of older part of my world, which is made in older versions. But of course there are many other changes, and so I've decided to make this episode to sort of do some things in this world. And one of the things that I want to do involves the spectacles, whose functionality was changed. Previously they sort of emitted dynamic light, which meant that you sort of have light around you as you moved, but now instead of that they give outlined mobs so that you can see them even through blocks, and the dynamic light functionality has been moved to the light sources when you sort of hold them in hand. The reason why I've decided to take a look at the spectacles first is because I would like to find some caves that are relatively near the surface and just light them up. Like, for example, you can see that there's a skeleton over here, so I can just dig down and I can just light this place up. Of course, I don't really need to light up these caves, but I thought it would be nice to do so. The caves that I'm lighting up are really old. They were generated in a dev build of 0.1. I say really old because you can see that they get cut off sometimes, which is a bug that was fixed early on in Infdev Plus. I don't remember exactly when, maybe 0.1 or, well, full release of 0.1 or 0.2. These spectacles are especially useful when hunting the stalkers, because these mobs are normally fully invisible, but with the spectacles they become fully visible, which means that you can just equip them and run around the world hunting these guys. And unlike in Dev Plus, you don't need to worry about them because they are unbreakable. Of course, the downside is that you need to find it in a stronghold dungeons, which can be only found in a plains biome, so it may take a while before you actually find them, but once you do find them, they can be quite useful. Another thing that was added in the new versions is the ability to dye backpacks. There are two backpacks I would like to dye. First is this one, where I carry all the things that I like to have on me, and I've decided that I'd dye this backpack yellow. The second backpack that I'm going to dye is this one, where I sort of keep some extra stuff like extra building blocks, ammo, some healing stuff in case I get in a sticky situation, ranged weapons, water for healing in the astral, and agility kit in case I needed to run a bit faster. And I've decided to dye it orange. Now, I've just shown you that you can dye the backpacks using the primary colors. However, that is not all, because you can also combine the colors. As you can see over here. And if you don't like the color, you can wash off the dye by right-clicking a cauldron that has water in it, like so. Next up, I would like to take a look at the new mob. However, before I go off exploring to find it, I need to take two things. The first being some carrots. Fortunately, I got a farm for that. The reason why I want to take some carrots is because these are used to tame LLamas. The second thing that I need is a carpet, which you basically put on a llama instead of a saddle. I decided for a spring green one. And now that I've got both of these things, it is time to find a llama. Llamas only spawn in a mountains biome, and I am currently in a Valley Hills biome, which means that we need to find a mountains biome, preferably in already generated chunks. So let's see. If I was a mountains biome, where would I be? It seems that the answer is about here, because this is a mountains biome apparently. But it's kind of in old chunks, which means that it's below sea level, but I think that llamas should be able to spawn here, since I can hear some sheep. So I'm gonna try to look around and see if I can spot some llamas as well. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find any llamas in the previous location, so I've decided to switch locations to up some newer chunks, which are still slightly older. Hopefully I'll be luckier in here, because I really don't want to trade new chunks, find the new mountains biome. And I just saw one, but that one despawned. But it does mean that I will be able to find more llamas here. And here we go. As you can see, I've managed to find a group of llamas. As you can see, there are several variants. There is this grey one. There's another grey one, black one, and a beige one that was maybe fell into the hole. And we came one of these, maybe this grey one. And put a saddle on it. And with that, I can return home. However, before I go, there are two things that I would like to mention. Firstly, is that tamed llamas can be used to attack other mobs. So if you press left click while riding the llama, it will spit at the mob that you are facing, and the projectile will deal 1 heart of damage. And the second thing is that llamas are neutral, so if you attack it, it will attack you. Anyway, now it is time to return home. Another thing that has changed is that bears now have a chance to spawn in a seasonal forest. Another thing that I've just remembered that I forgot to mention is that llamas can be healed by feeding them carrots. And now we are back home with our new llama. Unfortunately, I had a bit of a debacle with the bears, as you saw, and as a result, the first llama that I had tamed had died, so I had to tame another one. And the second unfortunate thing is that I don't really have any good place for this llama, so it will be staying over here right now. Anyway, now that it is done, I'll be moving on to another thing. However, before I do that, I have decided to make a grave for the first llama that I have tamed, whom I've posthumously named Lamar. So let's take a moment of silence for him. Anyway, may his soul rest in peace. Another thing that has changed is that wings now have durability, and you repair them with ectoplasm, which is obtained by killing wisps in the astral dimension. There's also a new type of arrow called the spectral arrow, which makes any mob that you shoot with it glow. Kinda like how when you have the spectacles equipped. So if I just quickly click them, you can see that the big glows just like the other mobs. And if I shoot myself with it, you will see that the effect lasts about 15 seconds, I think. Let's see. Of 14-15 seconds, as you can see. Another thing that was added are the spears, a new weapon type inspired by the upcoming Mounts of Mayhem update for vanilla Minecraft. They are crafted like this, and they can be obviously crafted out of different materials like stone, iron, copper, gold, diamond, and Damascus. The Damascus and adamantine spears have got special properties, just like other gear from these materials. This means that a Damascus key and Damascus spear gets stronger the less durability it has, and adamantine spear has got a chance to deal more damage. The spears have got 2 attacks that you can use with your left click, with which you hit the mobs just like you would with a sword. And there's also the secondary attack, which where you basically right click to ready your spear and then charge at your enemy. And the faster you are, the more damage you do. It's basically jousting. Just like with the vanilla spears, except for the fact that the damage is based on your speed and not the relative speed between you and the enemy that you attack. This means that if you are standing still and the mob is charging attack at you, you don't do any damage. Another thing to mention is that there is a minimal speed at which you deal damage. This means that if I simply walk towards this cow, I won't deal any damage. Instead, I need to run towards it. And as you can see, there's also a cooldown before I can use the spear another time. So if I right click, I need to wait to use the spear again. So I'd say it's quite an interesting weapon type which can be useful. Another thing that was added are the Sandballs, which are obtained by picking up the sand layers. They are basically the same as snowballs, so you can from them and mobs, or throw them at the ground to create sand layers, or take 3 of them to create 6 sand layers. Moving on, the next thing that I like to do is to sort of expand my influence by placing more beacons so that more area is covered by the effects, and for that I need to first visit the void dimension. As you can see, I've brought myself some teleporters with me. That's because for a while now I've been building these sort of towers which have got lights on them and teleporters at the bottom. That way I can go to the origin of the void world whenever I visit it without having to walk the long distance, since I have a teleport over there. And now that I'm here, I can just grab myself a lucky coin, put on the spectacles, and start hunting the stalkers, because I need the dark matter from them to activate the beacons and to fully power them. One more thing that I'll have to mention, as for the things that have been added in the new updates, is that the end credits have been updated, and they now include some music made by Sleeping56. So I'm now going to enter the portal and let them play, because I think the music is really great and fits well with the credits. So enjoy. After that, I went ahead and grabbed myself 12 beacons because there are 12 effects. 120 dark matter because that's how much I need to really max out all of them. Some for scaffolding and materials that I need to activate the beacons of the effects. And now that that is done, I just to measure out 200 blocks because the range of a extra beacon is 100 blocks, one for each level, so it starts at 10 and it's 20, 40, and 100 and at range 10. So let's start measuring. As it turns out, I was partly wrong about the range. The max range isn't 100 blocks, instead it's 110 blocks. So basically the range starts at 20 blocks and then increases by 10 blocks with each level. So you start with 20, 30, 40, 50, all the way until 110, which means that I can place the beacons 200 and 20 blocks apart. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Now I'm gonna set things up and then I'm gonna build something around these beacons because I don't want to have them like this in the open, which is why I've decided to get on this hill because it's kind of in the way of the build that I plan to do, since it's kind of roundy beacons. Oh, that is of course. I thought I saw a goat. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Now I'm gonna pick up this hill. And here's a bit of a progress update. As you can see, I dug away the mountain and made it so that the ground is on the same level as the ground of my garden. I haven't yet replaced the stone with because I haven't yet decided what I'm gonna do here, but probably. And here's a bit of a progress update. As you can see, I got rid of the hill and made it so that the ground here is on the same level as the ground garden. I haven't yet replaced the stone because I haven't yet decided what I'm gonna do here. I've also started working on the building around the beacons, and I decided that it will be made out of pine wood and stone bricks. I haven't yet fully decided on the design, so I'm gonna play around a bit and then show you what I came up with. Well, this is quite annoying. I was about to finish this build when I noticed I actually made a mistake at the beginning with the beacons. I've placed these beacons 2 blocks apart. I placed these 1 block apart, but they are supposed to be 2 blocks apart, which means that I need to take this half of the build and sort of move it by 1 block, move most of the things by 1 block. So let's get started, and then I'm gonna show you the finished product. And now I'm finally finished. As it turns out, I was even more wrong than I've initially thought. The beacons are meant to be 2 blocks or 1 block apart. They are meant to be 4 blocks apart. I can't believe I made this mistake. So I do quite a bit of rebuilding before I finished, but here is the finished design. As you can see, as I've said, it combines pine wood along with the stone bricks. I've also added some sea lanterns behind the forged wood trapdoors, and on the inside I've used more scorched wood and some brown hardened clay because I happen to have some excess, and also I once again use the pistons which I can use to deactivate the beacons. For example, if I extend this piston, and it deactivates the night vision beacon. I like this way. I can also deactivate them by taking out the material, but I think it's better by using the pistons, since if I took out the material I'd have to store it somewhere. Right, if we go up with this ladder, I can go to the roof. I can just sort of walk around and look at the area around my base. Anyway, now that the build is finished, I just need to clean up after myself. And with that, the build is finished. I still plan to do a bit more with it, but something that I'll do once I decide what I want to do with this area. Instead, I decided to do something else, which is to clean up a bit. As you can see, I've got some sort of random snow layers in this area that I'm prepared here, probably due to the fact that I've been playing this world in the developer version, which probably caused some strange things to happen. If I look at this area in the photo mode, you may notice that the snow kind of creates a grid pattern. So I'm just gonna go around, pick it up and place some torches so that it doesn't form again. I'll be also cleaning up these ash layers which are left behind by the lightnings, since lightnings set blocks on fire and those leave ash behind. I've also decided to fix this maple tree, which became flat at the top due to leaf decay quite a while ago. There are also other trees that are like this, for example those large oak trees down there, but I won't really be fixing those since those are there for historical purposes. I will only be getting rid of the snow, since I don't like it there. Also, probably can't notice, but I've gotten rid of the snow over there, and it's looking much cleaner. Well, you probably can't tell since you haven't really seen it before. Yes, that much. Anyway, I'm not gonna fix this tree and then do other stuff. Well, that was a mistake. I forgot that the branches that used to be on this tree were replaced by jack-o'-lanterns, which means that after breaking the snow layer, a lot of the leaves decayed. So yeah, that's that. Anyway, I was thinking of keeping the tree that way, but I've decided to restore it to its original state using a backup that I have. I think it's better that way, and this experience made me also realize that I also shouldn't touch this tree. Well, I shouldn't remove the snow because this tree also had the branches, and for those unaware, Infdev Plus used to have some branch blocks which were basically leaves that had branches in them, which replaced some of the blocks in the large oak trees, but those were since removed. I believe in like 0.5, since you can't really see any jack-o'-lanterns in this tree. Anyway, with that out of the way, it is time to continue doing the cleanup. Another thing I'm cleaning up are these brake tracks. These brake tracks used to be burnt out torches at one point. However, the torch burning out mechanic has been removed, and so the burnt out torches have been replaced by the brake tracks. and there aren't many here anymore since I've removed quite a few of them, but there are still few remaining around the base, so I'm gonna get rid of those since they are kind of an eyesore. I wanted to keep them since they are kind of part of history, but I feel like it's better to remove them. I also want to clean up these things, which are left over from some previous episode. This one was used to capture a skeleton to get the sniper duel advancement. And this is something that appeared in the background of the time-lapse that I made while building these sky islands. It sort of appeared in the background as a Easter egg of sorts. Where I kept changing this while building the islands so that it would display a message. And last but not least, I would like to fix the creeper holes. I think that's a creeper hole as well. It's got some exposed stone over there, so I'm gonna fix those. Not sure why I haven't done so sooner. Anyway, that will be it for this episode, as I believe that I had done enough. I don't know when the next episode will be. Will probably be once I decide what I want to do. Anyway, before I go, there is one more thing that I would like to mention, which is that I would like to give a link to this guy, but I haven't really come up with any, so if you have any ideas, you can leave them in the comments. Anyway, that's everything that I wanted to say, so I'll see you in the next one.